Hey everyone, welcome to GMIHub Online. I'm Cheryl Dewick, your host, and I'm so glad you're able to join us. Tonight we have an interesting topic. We are going to be talking about marketing, but specifically for the gospel and Christian music artists. But before I introduce you to our guests, let me introduce you to my wonderful co-host, Dale Borland. Dale?
Well, hello there. Hi. So glad you guys could join us tonight at GMI Hub Online. This is going to be so cool. We're going to talk about marketing. It's going to be out of my comfort zone because as an artist, that's kind of not where my brain sits, but we're going to have fun with that. But don't forget, we are gmihub.ca. Go check it out for yourself. Find out more about us. There's some amazing stuff there you can look at. And also, if you want to be part of our newsletter distribution, which you get once a month, absolutely free, no cost to you, it's gmihub.ca. Go in there and just drop us your email in the community part. Let us know, what maybe you're a musician, you're an artist, a singer, you're a songwriter yourself. We want to start a relationship with you. So you can just help by just letting us know that you exist. That'd be a great way to start. Another thing is, if you're here for the first time on GMI Hub Online, on our YouTube channel, don't forget to hit the notification bell and subscribe and all that fun stuff, because that really helps us to know that you guys are part of what we're up to, and we want to connect with you. Leave a message in the bottom here so we can actually respond, because I love reading them and I love responding to them. So it'd be really cool for you guys to touch base with me personally and with GMI Hub. I really would appreciate that. Now, let's get into some amazing conversation as we talk to our friend Lydia.
Yes, I'm excited that Lydia is going to be joining us. So, for those of you who don't know, we are going to be talking to a marketing expert who, and here's a bit of the history. She actually was stationed in Sweden and built a marketing platform out in Sweden. And she has recently transferred into Canada and is rebranding and restarting a new marketing firm here in Canada. She's actually in Quebec right now, and she is streaming in with us. Her name is Lydia Martel-Coté. What I love about her, she's not only knowledgeable about marketing, but she has such a strong heart for Christian and gospel artists, and that, and also for discipleship in that. But we won't get into that right now. But without delay, I want to introduce Lydia. Lydia, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, Cheryl, for such an amazing introduction. I'm like, wow, I'm honored to be here.
It's an honor to have you here. We've had lots of conversations about lots of things related to the Christian and gospel music scene and what we are finding. But one of the things you and I have talked about is the need for artists to know how to market themselves. And so that's why we're here. And specifically for the Christian gospel artists, because one of the things that artists need to do is be true. Like authenticity is really strong, right? In the marketing or in the music scene, actually everywhere, right? Authenticity is the big thing. And one of the things we need to be authentic about is our relationship with Christ as we are marketing ourselves as artists, marketing our music. But I say that, but I'm going to ask you, my very first question is, what is marketing to you, Lydia?
Marketing to me is influencing, and you can choose which way you want to influence, for the good or for the bad. And I just want to jump right away for what he said, because I had an experience from an artist that was telling me, when I go to an interview, I have to be someone else. I have to be cool. I have to look like something. And I agree totally with what you're saying, Cheryl. You have to be yourself. If you're trying to be something else, it's really weird. So I think that's first. Marketing is showcasing who you are, showcasing what you are, what your values are to the world. So showcasing also Jesus and why you love him through your songs, through your interviews.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome.
Now, I understand that when you were in Sweden and you started Jesus Revolution marketing there was a point in time that at the church you were serving at, that something took place that kind of changed the course that God had for you. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, correct. So I was missionary. So if we go even backwards, so I did a master in marketing. And right after, instead of going to and working, so even though I I worked after my bachelor. So I did mission year. And during that time, my pastor came to me. We're a small church back then. We're 150, but there's still 3 bands in the church. So super artistic, super musical, painting, and so on. And the pastor came to me and he said, we're struggling. We have such great music. We have this prophetic music. We have this song, this evangelistic songs, and we cannot reach anyone. So here's your budget, and that's your problem. So that's what happened, and it was so fun to me. It was like, and I learned right away. And talking with a pastor, it was also an entrepreneur, and we prayed together. And that's how it started. And after, when it started functioning, when people started to see, I started to get the music of each individuals, and after they referred to their friends, and that's how it's actually started. So it's not.
Now you.
Yes.
Yeah. No, it's not. What? Say. Go ahead.
Yeah, so it's not just marketing the music, it's marketing why you're doing it and who exactly you're reaching. Because if you throw everything too large, that's what happened. Or you can put, if you're trying to build something, but you're not putting the hammer straight where you're supposed to ham, it's not going to function.
Right, that's like knowing your demographic. Exactly what I agree with you. Yeah, there's just one more thing before we leave off that, because I think it's really fascinating how you took. You had these 3 different bands you said working in this church, but you took this opportunity to take a song I hear was streaming at about, was it, you say 5,000 streams, and then you're able to promote it to, I guess, 30,000, was it? What was it? It's like, I forget the numbers exactly.
The difference was that there was an album, the first album they did, so that was 2 years before I arrived. So they had 5,000 streams after 2 years. And then they come to me and they're going to release a new song. And the pastor was like, that's the biggest hit they're never going to do. Like, that's their number one. That's their top. So they were like, that's where we're putting all of our. So in a month, we made 30,000 streams. So compared to 2 years, we made way faster. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
Wow. So it works.
But I mean, in this case, I really believe that this worship leader that is also the leader of the band that wrote the songs is really anointed and is called for that. So for him, and I think it's really good to put what's the goal of everyone. If you're called to write music for, movie, or if you're called, to just, I don't want to say just, but know what you're called for, and that's your goal. And if you don't need streams, if you don't need social media, that's perfect. You don't need it. When you're going to face God, he's not going to be amazed by your social media. He's going to be amazed by what he has called you to. And if you have fulfilled it. So that's what should be our standard. And that's how it's easier to not out of 100 artists, but there's only one that's going to rise. But we can say, okay, there's way more that can rise. So that's the difference in mindset. Marketing is not something that I'm trying to sell you something that's different. It's I have a solution. Like, for instance, someone that has struggled with anxiety. I know what you feel. Listen to my song. It's going to help you. It's a solution. I'm not trying to beg you to listen to my song. I'm here with you, like taking your hand and walking with you. So my vision of I love marketing, but again, I think the vision is off right now of how the world views it.
So I guess, Cheryl, the question is, how do we do that? How do we approach that as gaining those fans, whatever you want to call them, gaining those people that are your fans to be part of your music system through your how do you do that as far as a Christian is concerned, is about being, to be good, give a first impression, but not be authentic?
Yeah, I think there are many things, also it's always knowing who you are. I'm just going backwards because you sent many questions at the same time. Like, to give a first impression to I like to call them lovers. It's people that love your music, love what you do, love what you're carrying. Fan to me is more like someone that's going to go to your knees, and just praise you. So we're not trying to get praises. So, so first of all, I think the first step is knowing what you're doing, why you're doing it, after knowing where those people are, and after you're trying to reach to those people, but you understand. I can give another idea, for instance. So when my mom went to heaven, I listened to a lot to Ann Wilson. Ann Wilson was really outwardly about, her brother that went to heaven. She wrote a book, and I could really identify with her. So I was exactly the type of person, I was exactly going through what she was writing about. So how you're finding something goes, that's why I'm going backwards, understanding, what you're doing. It's not just writing music. It's not just, it's way more profound. It's way more deeper. And after the first impression, I would just give an analogy. I think it's like the first time you go to your step family. It's like you're putting your nicest clothes. You're putting like your nicest everything. And you're getting to know them, but you're never going to say something that is not true or putting yourself to a higher level that you're not, because it's going to be weird and they're going to find out. So your truth about where you are and where you're trying to go. And this is where people will follow and join you.
Yeah, put your best foot forward. Yeah, absolutely. It's like when your girlfriend takes you to see her father for the first time. It's like, oh my gosh, I better be, perfect. Yeah.
I can feel the experience.
I think this is actually exactly where we need to start, which is the mindset behind marketing. Too many creatives, a lot of us as creatives, we hear the word marketing and we freeze because it sounds like something that someone who has a 3-piece suit and a tie on with a big briefcase is supposed to go and take care of this. And we as creatives we just want to create. That's all we want to do. We want to create. But It is important that before we even start to create, the same way that we approach how we write a song is the same way how we need to approach our marketing. We need to know who we're doing it for and why we are doing it. Who do we want to reach and what's that message for them, right? And I love the analogy you gave before. If I have anxiety or you have anxiety, my song has a message that talks about how to deal with that anxiety. It has a solution in it. Listen to this song, not because I want to market the song as, hey, here's my song, but because this song has more of a purpose that it needs to fulfill. And the same happens with marketing. Did I catch that right?
Yeah, no, you did. And I can even go a bit further with the first impression, is like, even though we're Christian, the first time a pastor goes on stage, the first time you come and you look at me, imagine I would have been wearing a pajama. What's your first impression? Expert, so-called expert. Yeah, no, you're joking. What would have happened if I tell you like, okay, I'm a marketing expert, but I'm not on any social media? It's like, think of it, think of what's your music genre. It's like, okay, like I'm putting a gospel song. You're expected to do a music video. That's the gospel, that's a gospel song. If you're doing, like Christmas song, I'm expecting a snow. It's like you need to go around what it is. And if you're not wearing something that is fitting with what you're trying to show, the first impression is already telling me something is weird, something is off. And that's where you're losing, and it's so easy to lose. And we can say, yes, it's judgmental, but if we realize we're also doing it ourselves. And it's not judgment, it's just we don't want to get scammed. We don't have, and there's so many other choice that people are like, well, I can go with the other one then, the other artist, and so on. So it's super important.
So just so we can spell it out for those that are watching and those that are listening, what are the areas of first impression that artists should be taking note of? Like what certain things they need to look at or to consider when they're making their first impression to the world?
The first impression can be in many different places. It's the first time someone will see you. It can be at a concert, it can be on social media, it can be on your website. For instance, if someone is looking to hire you, to get you, like I want you in my festival, and you don't have any website, and you have not posted on social media since a year. I'm like, okay, is this artist still on? Is this my first impression is not really good right now. Same way, if you're on stage, your clothes should fit your genre. If you're more like exotic and so on, I want to see you wearing exotic clothes. Otherwise, it's like my first impression is like, I'm going to go and buy popcorn. It's like, sorry. And when I say, first impression, nowadays, you can have a website for really cheap. And social media, I'm not telling you to have 20 social media. Actually, I just recommend to do that. Go back again to your vision, why you're doing it, who you're targeting, what has God has placed in your heart. And now think, where are those people? Are they older? Are they younger? What are they doing? Where are they in all of those different social media? And you focus on that one, because that's going to be your niche. And this is where the different festivals are going to look for this one. They're not expecting, or like you could say, an emerging artist to be professional and everything, but there's a minimum you're expecting.
Again, you're talking about demograph, and I think that's important for an artist to realize that if the fan base or the customer, whatever you want to call them, is on a certain platform, that's the platform you need to be on. And then also is, like you talked about, I would call style, your appearance. If it matches up with the sound or the kind of music that you are producing, that's also that takes a little bit of work, perhaps for some people more than others, but other times it's not really a lot of work. All you have to do is find the music genre that you're in and find comparative sounds that are happening in the music society, whatever, and see if that lines up with your brand, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, totally correct. And I'm not trying to tell you to be something you're not. I'm someone that is more extroverted, and I like to talk, and so every time I'm planning on the branding for my company, I'm choosing colorful, because I'm colorful. You can choose, you can do things that represent you. You can have a social media that represent you. You can do things in a way. Okay, I can be more specific. If you don't like to create contents, there are ways that you can reuse AI to recreate content. Or you can put, if you're more an introverted, you can put coffee. When you go to the coffee shop, take a picture of your coffee. They know you're like your lovers that once per week you go there. There are ways that you can do to go around it.
Absolutely. This is almost I almost want to bridge this with another conversation we've had with someone who was talking about specifically about Facebook and how to build relationships on Facebook. And one of the things that she said was, take what you do in your everyday life and somehow bring that back into your music. But it also is a way, but showing your everyday life actually helps your audience relate to you. And there are people that will relate to you just based on things that you do. Like, for example, the coffee you like, or if there's some other habit, or maybe it's family. Like maybe it's you're a parent and you're proud of your kids, so have pictures with you and your kids. Or maybe you do another form of art. Maybe you like, I don't know, restoring furniture. So you take a piece of furniture and you restore it and say, hey, look what I've done. It reminds me of, kind of idea. But it's taking what you do, and what you do helps your audience relate to you, and you gain a greater audience, a bigger audience, because people who are interested in that same thing that you're interested in that may be outside of your music will come to you based on the interest. And then, oh, wait a minute, you do music too? Let's check this out. And they do that shift.
That's cool.
No, it makes me think of, obviously in the Bible, who are we thinking for? Jesus, it was not like picturing himself as someone like way greater. It was accessible right here, right there. His disciples saw everything of him, things that I cannot picture. I will put it on myself, that I cannot imagine of. And, it's like, you're doing this as of for Matthew 28. I mean, that's our whole goal as Christian. Matthew 28, go out and make disciples of all nations, and you can read the rest. and that's our goal. And if you look not authentic, and that is a survey that was made, and now I forgot the firm, but it was really a well-known firm. And it says that my generation, what we're looking for the most is authenticity. And if you're only posting like when you're on the show and when the backstage, which all of those things are really good, but it pictures something that is not real. But when you're showing us a reality, yourself, like when you're waking up, or maybe like for girls, it can be with less makeup than usual. It also shows like, okay, she actually looks similar to me when I don't have makeup, and that's something like, okay, I like her even more. And if you went practical example, obviously Ann Wilson is someone I watch a lot in the last months. So you can check her out. And the last video she made a few days ago, that's what it was. When she was waking up from the bus tour that she's on and what's her daily routine. That was the video. And we could and she's walking with her dog and so on. So it's sometimes we make it more complicated than it is.
But you know what's so funny about that is that it's so easy, like, to discard our own lives or discard our everyday routines, to think, oh, no one's going to want to know that. And I've actually even heard it with people with their own music. I've actually heard people say, no one wants to hear no one wants to hear an original song. No one wants to hear my music. So I'll sing someone else's song instead. I'll sing what's well known. And it's been a personal pet peeve because I'd say in my mind, so you're going to forfeit singing what God has authentically given to you so that you can sing a song that has been carefully marketed to audiences like you, but your song is probably around the same level, right? Effective marketing is all the difference between one song and another song is basically the marketing that is behind it. That's literally
hallelujah. Preach it, sister.
So, but it's like you said, Lydia, it's about authenticity. It's not just in the song, it's also in the marketing. It's also in the presenting. Maybe if we don't call it marketing, it's the creating the impression and presenting yourself to a public, to the public, so people can be attracted to you, to what you.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to.
Go ahead.
No, you finish your thought, please. Yeah.
No, she's gonna get me fired up. I'm like, I was like, I'm gonna start something.
She's on fire.
Go for it.
It's praising me so much, because we get in the back scene as well. I've seen so many artists that are so talented, and they tell me like, if one person listened to my song, if 10, I'm fine with it, and I get so frustrated. It's like, you're not called for 10. Tell me where in the Bible that this God doesn't have an amazing big dream. Where does in the Bible that God tells, I give you, it's kind of like we need to dream bigger. It seems like in Canada, like we're kind of like, oh, we're just Canadian, we're not like Americans or something. It's like we're called for more. We're called for like excellence. We're called for something. And it's time that like, you're worth those like this investment for the website, your word, the investment for the other point, your word going to your family and asking, I would like investment for what I'm doing. I would like to do this. Here's my budget. Because we understand it also. It's like budgeting. And it gets overwhelming a bit, but you're worth it. And I think God is asking you also to take step of faith, because to create this team also around you that can do those things. But when I hear those things also, I'm like with Cheryl, I'm like, there's so much more. And if we want to take the land, which is our country, in music and creativity, in painting, in whatever form God has called you to, I know we're talking to musicians, but I believe there's many different things that can rise up. So I'm trying to include as much as I can, We need people that's going to take some steps.
Yeah.
And we need people that's going to be willing, and it's going to be shaking, it's going to be scary, it's going to be, but I think we need a different faith. We need to ask and to go in more faith, to be bold.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah, Cheryl and I have talked about that previously. We talked about, about the artistic endeavors in music and theater and all those types of things. Do it to the glory of God. Absolutely. Later on, we're going to talk a bit more about an EPK. But before we get to that electronic press kit thing, I want to ask you a simple question about independent artists that are up and coming, and social media being so accessible and all that. What do you think an artist, what will work well with an independent artist who's just starting, who's trying to get their feet solid in what they're doing? How would they start doing this social media thing?
I mean, first, I think they can go back in the video and say which one is the social media. I can make a brief. If it's older generation, it can go on Facebook. If it's people that are more my generation, millennials, you can go more in Instagram. If you prefer, like, you could say videos, live stream, shorts, you can do a mix with YouTube or TikTok with more dancing and funny videos. But still, it's emerging in different genres. I've made it pretty successful in TikTok. So this is more practical. But also, I like to ask what you're comfortable doing. Like, I like to be in front of a camera. Certain people are not. So maybe pictures would be a bit better. If you're more like, you can go. So how practically make a schedule? So find this one that's working best and make a schedule. Because it's easy to create it and you do it for a month and you forget it. And after you get the show, and at the end of the show, you're like, who took some pictures? Who made some videos? No one did. Like try also to make like some planning to have like different people making this, and after you can create some content. And you can check online. I did not write an article about that yet, but now I'm thinking that's a good idea to make one, And, made a list of what it is. And when you're going to get to this point, let's say as we take the coffee again, or just when you're walking with your dog, and now you're going to reflect, okay, I can use it 2 times. Or, when I'm writing a song, I'm currently trying, I can take a picture of the paper or whatever ways you prefer, if it's digital or not. So I think that helps you. So that's more in the practical side of things.
Okay. So let's go into EPK kits. First of all, electronic press kits. Are they still a thing? Like, do we still need them, or is that a thing of the past now?
I think there are certain times you're still going to need them, but you need to understand the industry behind. So I'm going to try to make an analogy to explain a bit. So you can say different stairs, or you can say layers or levels. And if you're on stair, I prefer to say stairs, so think of it like that, Feels like I'm dancing already.
Yeah. Dancing girl.
Confusing, So let's say you're on stair level 1, whatever. We're just starting, You're on stair level 1, and you're sending a press hit to level 51. 51, the opposite way. 51. This way, no matter what you're doing, you're aiming, you're trying to reach something, that they're like, what's interesting in you? How can this help you? You need to think also that, like, even if we're Christian, even if it's Christian radios, even if it's Christian newspaper, even if it's Christian YouTubers, they need like kind of like a certain collaboration, something that's going to help you, something that it's like, okay, let's go to another example. You're on stair number 24 and you're trying to get to stair number 25. They're like, okay, you have a huge following, or you have went like to so many different festivals, around. You've been to so many different venues. You've done so many different weddings. It's like, what do you have to show them? So if you're aiming and thinking we're Christian, they should just help me. Think of it that a worker must be paid their due. So they have made different steps to reach there. One of my lamps decided to close down. I don't know why, but that's okay. And so going back to the press kit. So if you're trying to reach someone that is too high, that's never going to succeed. You're just going to lose your time. So that's why you often see online, I've sent so many emails, I've sent so many different, and nobody has replied to me. Maybe your targeting was not correct. So how to target correctly? That's the next step. But the point is, it's really hard for me to answer without knowing the industry. So that's how I will help you out. Try to look around at the different artists that you're trying to go, that are in the different stairs, that they're higher than where you're trying to reach. Look at where they have won in different venues. Look at where they have been featured. Look at everything. And now it gives you a certain frame, pave the way. There are people that have paved the way kind of for you. You can follow the same line. I'm not trying to say that you're the same calling or same thing, but you can give you certain ideas. Okay.
So in short, what elements should be? So you're saying a press kit is not needed all the time. It's needed depending on where a person is targeting. Is that right? So,
yeah.
For an example, as a starting artist, I released one song. Yay!
Yay!
So I may have a website, but I don't know if I have an EPK kit at this point, because I don't have all the festivals and everything else. It's something that's building. So are you saying that as we grow and we build in our career, as we get more experience with or more opportunities to showcase our music, or maybe we get more music, that's when that EPK kit will build? Is that what you're saying?
Yes and no, because even though you're starting, you can still have some things to put in it. Because as an individual, like, for instance, you, Cheryl, you're still, the founder of GMIHub. You still went to different places to speak, There's still things that you can put that defines who you are. And now, you can start something else. There are things that surround yourself. The artist, where you're doing what is around, still puts it all together. If you would wait to do the press kit to get there, that would be like, it feels like almost unattainable. So that's not what I was trying to say. But it's really it's hard to answer, because there are certain industries that it just doesn't matter. There are certain venues that you just need someone that knows someone to get behind the door, so but it looks really good to me when I see on a website that someone has a press kit that is ready to download. First, it looks professionalism. Secondly, you can have also your professional pictures put there, that people are ready. So it makes it easier for you. It makes things. So I would say you can already start. Start, smaller with what you have. Maybe there are certain playlists that you've succeeded to get in. Put them there. There are churches that are backing you up. You have different Christian foundation that are backing you with what you're doing. You have different churches that are supporting you, or you have signed to all of those different churches, or different event. Put it there. By the way, I'm putting a little asterisk here. I don't believe artists should agree to go to sing for free, but that's a personal opinion. Now we can debate. But I believe now it's like the silent. But
No, the artists are like,
No.
woohoo!
Yeah, no, believe me, that is a good word. People need to hear that.
But just putting like in perspective, one venue that is accepting you, I would put 10,000, whatever, 10,000 to come, is way easier than 10 venues at 100. Think of it. 100 venues at 100. It's, to me, it just doesn't make sense. So that would be my point. So the press kit help you to make, to show that this venue at 10,000, you look like you have something. Even though if right now as an artist, you're not there. So it's a difference between stair 52 and stair number 10. There are things that can help you pass a stair, but there's a certain level you cannot jump. If you're trying to get, I'm trying in the physical. You can think of it when you're trying to, in the stairs, you're trying to go up. Now tell me if my analogy is clear, if I went too much in my head and I'm too creative.
Well, do you have a question, Dale?
No, just keep going.
Okay. So starting artist. So can we say this? So if an artist doesn't have enough for an EPK kit, they should have a website, I presume, right? And if they have a website, there are certain things that should be on there. And you mentioned one, which was quality pictures.
Yep.
You've mentioned if they do have any venues or anything that they have played at or been invited to play at, to put that on there. You didn't mention this, but I presume a bio, right?
Yes.
Having a bio on there. And something else that wasn't mentioned, but I know has been a pet peeve on our team, and that is especially when we're trying to find artists, have their contact information on there, How do we reach you? How do we contact you? Email, phone number, contact page, that hopefully you definitely answer to. That's also very important, because from a perspective of an event producer looking for artists, for example, it's hard to say, hey, we want to find you artists and we want to contact you, and we can't, so so would you agree that those are the basics, or is there more that
I totally agree with those ones, with the basic. I mean, the website is also all of the links to all of the different social media that you have. Social media, but also I'm including all of your Spotify, Deezer, and so on, and the link to the right ones. If you've been to different, interviews, and the reality is that at the beginning, you're mainly going to have to pay to get in. You're mainly going to have to pay to do an interview. You're mainly going to have to pay to get on different playlists. You're mainly going to have, the only way you can get behind it is if you know someone. If you know someone that knows someone, and so on. Because think of it also that, like, they don't know you, they don't know exactly what your standards, what you stand for, what you don't stand for. And now if a scandal gets out of something, they're also trying to protect themselves. So that's also like the reason. So the more you're exposing yourself outside, the better it is. Now I'm making weird movements.
That's okay. It's the European in you coming out.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like, but no. So as a standard, I would also say, like a little asterisk again, if you're making a press release, but you don't like, you're asking, I'm sorry, I'm going to make like a little, like, you're asking your uncle that doesn't know graphic design to do it, and it doesn't look good, and it has grammar error in it, and you're not even added, like, your social media has all of the different, different numbers, you're putting things, you're an official artist, so you have claim all of your YouTube page, you have claim your Spotify, you have claim, and if you have no clue what I'm talking about, look in your distributor or just Google, claim Spotify. This is a must to have the little, it's like the little music note that tells me this person likes this so much, likes music, and he wants to do it professionally, that he's going to claim everything. So that's going to give you access to different things. Like, you can pitch your song to Spotify for artists. So I've deviated a bit, but this is really practical. So you can pitch to Apple Music for your song. And this is only prior to your release. So you need to have done it prior to release, to have put it to Spotify prior, because the day it's released, it's finished. And that's, again, the other point. Back further, not also the stairs, you have certain curators that are requesting different things. They're requesting that they're following their form. They're requesting that you're sending the information 1 month after the release or 2 weeks after the release. So no matter if you have a good press kit, you're not going to get in. But if they do want the press kit and you're sending with error and those unprofessional, you can be black. You can be like in a cross. And I do believe they have a list, but that's my opinion. I cannot say I know. I cannot say that. It's my opinion.
Right. So that's great. So you don't want to be blacklisted, and you don't want to have be not accepted and rejected and all that, for sure. So that means a bit of homework then. That means a bit of homework on your part.
Yeah.
Right.
So just to
now this is where the artists are like, no,
I gotta do homework. School's done. I don't need the camera.
And you have till tonight, midnight, to send it.
You turn it into a pumpkin. What?
So just when you say claim, just to reiterate, when you say you got to claim your Spotify and claim, you're meaning make sure that you show that on your website or whatever, like get the link and put that on your website? That's what you mean by claim it?
No, claim is actually something you can tell when an artist is actually so when you go on Spotify and you have your name, same thing for YouTube. You have your name on YouTube. You can go just next to your name, and you have a little music note. And when you put the mouse on top of the music note, it's going to be written YouTube official page, or it's going to, official artist. And the same thing for Spotify, it's going to be official Spotify artist. So when you're doing this, for instance, for YouTube, because every time from the music distributor, it's sending the music out to Spotify, to YouTube, and so on. And on YouTube, it's creating, for instance, I'm going to use you, Cheryl/topic. So when you're claiming it, you're claiming all of those videos that your distributor has created as yours. So all of the views on those topics are now counted in your account.
Oh.
So you're upgrading. So it's easier to become, to get paid on YouTube. And for Spotify, the advantage is different things. As I mentioned, you can pitch to Spotify 2 weeks prior. That's the only way you can get to those playlists, the Spotify playlist, because there's 2 playlists, the Spotify playlist, and you have the curators creating playlists that they are asking you to pay. They don't have the right to ask you to pay, but that's what they do. But the thing is, when Spotify find out, they can actually delete the streams. But in the meantime, that they find everyone, It's still happening. For instance, for YouTube, it's legal to ask you to pay. I mean, it's again legal. There are certain things you cannot do, but you get, what I'm trying to say. YouTube allows it. I should say it like that.
Okay.
Yeah. Is it clearer?
Well,
It's the technical side of things.
okay. So it is clear. I think we're going to have to do a little how-to on that soon.
Yeah, I think so too.
how to claim your Spotify and the reason why.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about. I almost want to do a how-to, but I can't call it up right yet.
Yeah, like, can we do it now?
Okay. Let's talk social media marketing. Okay, we kind of touched on it, but let's talk about it. What can I ask about that? Let's see. You talked about social media and say, first of all, choose the social media that you're most comfortable with. If you're considering your artist, thinking about where your audience could be, and if you're going by an age demographic, there's a certain, I guess older audiences are towards Facebook, kind of millennials are into Instagram, others are into TikTok and YouTube shorts, that kind of thing. Think of your own personality, introverted, extroverted. What do you prefer? Also think of your music genre and where are the people you want to reach. That's in terms of choosing the social media. Did I miss anything? I guess the question there are some techniques for social media marketing. Any do's and don'ts with social media marketing?
I still count YouTube as a social media. One thing about YouTube, there are things backward. Each platform has a different algorithm, has a different way to reward you, has a different way to say, like, okay, this one is getting famous, because that's what the algorithm want to know. This person is really getting attraction. I know it sounds really worldly, but we're still using worldly platform to promote the gospel. So we need to understand how they function. So we need to understand the algorithm and how we can help to send more triggers that the algorithm is like, okay, like this one, I need to help them to promote it. Like this is how when we go backward that we made 30,000, it's like I use the algorithm of Spotify and how it functions to push. So the algorithm itself push it. And YouTube is a great one. And each of them has their own ways to do it. Like when your reels get in the feed that you see it, not just in the feed of promote, but you can see the discovery. And YouTube has also different ways with shorts. Now there are things that are super famous, so you can reuse them. So reuse your shorts on YouTube, if you choose that it's on Instagram. So try to find things that are going to be more efficient, and they're also backstage. I can put it like that in this online. You have parameters, and each of them, when you're putting yourself as an artist, that you have access to. Okay, I can be more practical again because I'm more in my head, It's like, for instance, YouTube has just released that you can add your merch. So now in your YouTube page, you can add your merch straight away. And when you made a video, and let's say I would be wearing this T-shirt of this band and they're interviewing me, they can tag, or they would be wearing it. They can tag in the video the product. So, so that's what I'm try to understand. And same thing for Instagram. You also can do that. And on Facebook as well. You can create a shop online. And you can just synchronize it. So try to know what's behind, what's available to what you're using, and use that, for the glory and for more and for promotion. So that's, again, a bit more research, but it's really fun. I'm telling you, it's super fun.
Okay.
I was just thinking if as an artist, how would I approach you or someone like you to say, hey, I've got some music and I'm doing some singing, but I really want to grow. Can you help me? What kind of people would be coming to you right now and to the point where you'd be saying, okay, let's start here?
For me, it's not the stage. For me, it's really because I'm adjusting pace. So the first, so just I will explain how I'm functioning, and after that's like, so for me, the artist comes to me and I meet with them. I want to know what's there. They have like a form to fill. I want to know what's their heart. I'm trying to understand what's, what I say, what is their God-given dream. And based on this and where they are, it's like, okay, this is where I think you should be. So for instance, if the artist release one song, it's more an emerging, I will be a campaign that is just, I would just be with the artist for the release, so you could say cheaper, so I'm just helping you. And after it's like, it's back. If the artist is more ready, I can be every single month, so I will be more like, it will be a monthly subscription together. So it's not about where you are. It's more like, if you know where you're trying to go, and your heart and where you're there. For me, it's the most amazing is when artists, they're like, this is where I'm going and I'm not gonna stop till I reach it. This is what God has given me. But there's also, I think it's great to check our heart, because for me, if an artist just tells me I want to be famous, then you're not doing Christian music, you're doing secular music, because you're doing it for yourself. And I know the line is thin, but it's amazing. There was an Indonesian, really famous artist, and he was praising God at the beginning of all of his show, and the whole backstage, everyone could hear. And he was so known, and he was so like full of God and people. So it's not a matter, it's a matter of your heart, who you're doing it for. And to me, if your song is like, you don't necessarily, that's maybe it's going to be challenging for some, you don't necessarily have to have Jesus in your song. Based on the testimony I just said, he was clearly showing in his life that it was to Jesus he was doing it for. But again, to him, I think it was a certain way. But you need to, in a way, you always need to show, either with your words, either with your action. It's better when it's both. But when you're trying to have a feet in both and your motives are not correct, this is where it's going to be a secular pride. Like, it's not going to be, for me, my motive will not be the same, and I cannot market you the same way.
Makes
Is it
sense.
clear? I'm like, I don't know. I don't see you all the time, so I'm like.
No, but it absolutely makes sense, because when you're talking about the direction and having purpose-driven type of music and targeting your audience, you need to know where the artist is and what focus. If it's about them, then it's a totally different focus.
Yeah, but I think it's something that is so amazing, to be like, I'm joining your dream. I can help you in your dream. Like,
That's awesome.
It's like to have, like, I know I've mentioned it, but I do believe that artists are receiving like songs, they're receiving something for some people. And, and when you're going, for instance, I'm going to say, let's say women that are struggling, that are, they are alone. But, if you go to like Christian, NGOs, or even just like, women organization, and you're like, here's my testimony and here's what I wrote, it's so powerful. And it's, we're changing, not us, God, but we're partnering, he's humbly using us. And I think that should be the goal. So that's more what I'm looking for.
Wow.
People with that heart, people with that point. But again, that's usually if you're more just to make a little note, if you're more at the beginning, and let's say you want me for your release, it's better that you write me way in advance, that I know when is your release and it's booked. Because obviously after a while, if you tell me 1 month in advance, my song is getting released in 2 weeks, I'm not going to be in your
Right.
team.
Right.
You know, because we need to put in place, we need to discuss what's the strategy, we need to claim, we're back to the claim, you know, we need to claim the Spotify. I will not be able to pitch it for Spotify. Then, you know, there are many things I will not be able to do then.
Yeah.
So I will do a post release, then you don't need me at that time. I can be further away. So
Yes.
so things to consider in that way. Yeah.
Okay.
Fantastic.
You get an idea, a little bit of what Lydia does. If you're just tuning in,
She's amazing.
Marketing expert Lydia Martel-Coté, stationed in Quebec, but available everywhere.
Everywhere. I just want to.
In French or in English, please.
Before we say goodbye to each other, I always like to end off with a question to our guests. If there's one thing that you would like to say that maybe has been said but is worth repeating, or something you haven't said that you wish you could have said to that person out there who's thinking, do I need to worry about getting somebody to help me with my marketing? What would you say to them?
I thought the question was like things you would not say. I was like, my question was like, be bold for Jesus. But in a sense, it goes together, you know, because if we're bold for Jesus, you know, we can you know, Faith Tech has made something amazing. They have targeted every single time someone is trying to commit suicide. But, you know, let's think of it that way. Let's say if your song are also about a similar topic, you can do something similar. You know, this is not about you. You know, if you want to go one step further, you need a team. And in your team, you're going to need someone in marketing. That it's me or somebody else. But you're going to need, that's for sure.
Wow, I love that. I love that line you just said there. It's not about you. It's so controversial, so topsy-turvy to what it is in our society, where artists is all about me. Let me be the star, you know. And it's just fascinating how the mindset of a Christian artist is, yes, we want to look our best and do our best, but not because we want to give glory to ourselves.
Yeah.
And in most artists, because all they've had is the secular, you know, the mainstream mentality, they've in some ways have adopted the mainstream mentality because that's what they've been taught.
Absolutely true.
Our whole purpose for today was to talk about marketing for the Christian music artists because they are called to a higher calling, as I said earlier. And it is, as Lydia said, it's not about us. It's about him. And it's about, and if I can say, it's about the cross. I know there's a song that says that, but it's about your relationship with him and how that is relating to the people around you and who you want to reach out to, who you want to affect. You know, you may have listened to this and you may have said, I thought we were going to get like, this is what you need to do to make your EPK and this is what you need to do this. But you know what? I think what we've done here today is talk about mindset, and we do have to talk about shifting the paradigm of how we think about marketing. Not only do we need to think about marketing as it's not about the three-piece suit briefcase person that is going to sit there or the used car salesman mentality of you got to get this, you got to have this song. It's not about that at all. This is about portraying Christ in your music, portraying Christ in your character, and using different media in order to showcase that. But the first thing that needs to happen, it's not about the media that you have to get, it's about your thought process, and it's about you. It's about you as a person, your character, and not being ashamed of who God has called you to be, and not being ashamed of the music that God has given you. That's what this is about. So this whole conversation has been about marketing, but it has been about the core of it, the beginning, the root.
That's right. And if you have enjoyed this conversation, thank you so much for joining us. I mean, it's been such a great time we've had in our conversation here. Don't forget to hit the notification bell and subscribe, and be a part of what we're doing. And get connected with us. We would love to connect with you. Leave a post down below. Let us know your thoughts. We would love to speak with you and converse with you. If you want to know more about us, go to our website, gmihub.ca. You can find out all about us on our social platforms, as you can see down below. They're all sitting there. We just want you to know that we're available to you. Check out our website, like I was going to say, and you can email us through our website, gmihub.ca, and go into the connect area and just drop us an email. We would love to hear from you. If you're an artist, you're a producer, you're an engineer, or you're somebody who's just singing and you love music and you want to know more about what's happening in the music scene, we have a hub happening which we send out once a month about what we do every month, and we would love to give you that. And if you have like I was going to say, if you're an artist who's singing and if performance is coming up, let us know. We will put that in the hub happening too. Yeah, we'll give you some promo, So we want to join you guys and help journey with you as you move forward in the gift that God has given you. So thank you for joining us on GMI Hub. Cheryl, do you want to say goodbye? I don't know, I guess not.